Hello, I'm Zett, and today I show you a rather long tutorial which will, in the end, enable you to replicate this. What you can see, this is a picture of my PlayStation Vita, which has full artwork custom bubble, and it's technically a custom bubble of the PSP game K-On! Hokaku Live, which is a Japanese PlayStation portable game, and this pretty much enables you to run any PSP game on your PlayStation Vita without an exploit game, and this pretty much gives you the ability to run nearly everything you can do on the PSP, the same on the PS Vita as a native custom bubble. You don't need a kernel mode exploit, you don't need an exploit game, you only need one random PSP base game. And with base game I mean you just have a random PSP game and then we check the ID of it. I will explain how to do this later. And then we use this game and replicate a custom bubble with this game. But before we start with this, a few dependencies. At first, the most important thing is you need a PlayStation Vita which is not running version 3.55 already. If your PlayStation Vita is currently or already running version 3.55, you can just close this video because you cannot replicate this. Okay. If your PlayStation Vita is running version 352, 351, 350, 336 or anything lower, then you're lucky, you can replicate this. The pretty much only thing you need is one totally fucking random PSP game and an email account. And of course the following programs I've listed here. I'm going to start with the most important one, which is QCMA. It does not matter if you're currently using the Sony CMA on your computer or if you are using OpenCMA on your computer. Just uninstall the Sony CMA, uninstall the OpenCMA, and what's also important in Device Manager. If you connect your PS Vita to your computer and you check your Device Manager on your computer, you can and you have to uninstall the PS Vita drivers from your computer, because QCMA has its very own PS Vita driver, which is a custom driver, but it doesn't work if the default Sony PS Vita driver is already installed. So you have to uninstall Sony CMA, OpenCMA, and the PS Vita driver via the Device Manager. Then you download QCMA either for Linux, Windows, or Mac OS, and then you install it on your computer. You might have to reboot after installing Sony CMA and the driver and before installing QCMA. This definitely needs QCMA. I'm going to explain why at a later time in this tutorial, but keep in mind you will need QCMA. Next things which are good and you will most likely need is Notepad++, because we have to edit a few files and sometimes the Windows Explorer is, well, fucking up the format of the files we edit, so we're just going to use Notepad++ because Notepad++ respects the current format of the file we open. So in short, we just need Notepad++ as an editor. Then we need Thunderbird. It's an email program for your computer. You add your email account to this program and then you can manage your emails with this program. It's pretty easy to use and it's handy because so many different email providers like websites or Google or whatever, Google is a website, have a different interface. So I just thought we were using one interface which should work for any email ever, so everyone knows what to do. Then we need the PPP unpacker because we have to unpack PPP and parts of an ISO with this because we need to get an ID of a game. I'm going to explain this, how to do this, of course, at a later time in the tutorial, just so you know you need this program and you have to install it. Then we need the custom bubble setup files by my good friend Canada Engel. He was so generous to upload these, so we can just click on Dropbox and then we download it. If you're asking yourself why I'm only downloading this but not the Thunderbird, PPP Unpacker, Notepad, QCMA, and so on, because I already have pretty much everything on my computer, but I'm still downloading the zip files like custom bubble and this next one, the writer EML, so you guys know what to do and how to behave with these files. I mean, installing a program is very easy, so I assume you can do this without me showcasing how to install a program. Okay, Sqlite Browser. We need this Sqlite Browser as well. Apparently it exists for Mac OS and Windows, maybe for Linux as well, who knows, but we will need this to edit a database at a later time. So just download the Sqlite Browser for your operating system, depending on like Windows 32-bit, Windows 64-bit or Mac. If you're not sure about your Windows bit version, just choose 32 because 32 runs on any Windows, modern Windows, whatever. And paint.net might be necessary. It's optional because if we want to give the custom bubble an icon, we have to convert it into the DDS format, and I'm not sure which picture editing programs support DDS, maybe GIMP, but I'm not sure. But I know that paint.net supports Photoshop, but Photoshop is either pretty expensive or you have to pirate it, and the fuck pirating Photoshop, so I'm just using paint.net because it works as well. Good. And we might need WinRAR, 7-zip or a similar program to unpack zip files. Okay, that's I think pretty much everything we need. We of course need one random PSP game and we need an email address. So yeah, I downloaded all these programs already and they're installed on my computer. Now I put this custom bubble setup zip and the writer zip into one folder, which is called 35x custom bubbles. Then I'm going to unzip these files. So I get this, a txt file, which is called include your data and edit in your app database, then a VSFO editor, and assign fake np expert folder, and of course this writer.eml. At first, set up your email with Thunderbird, and if you have set up your email with Thunderbird, you will see that you can receive and send emails with this program. As you can see in the previous ones here, I already did this. Okay. Next we go back to our folder and double click the writer.eml. It should open a compose window of Thunderbird, and then at top right we have this arrow which reads Weiterleiten, which is the German word for forwarding. We click on it, then we can forward this email. I will just forward it to the same email it comes from, which happens to be my Zett94 gmxd email. Otherwise we do not touch this file. We can see it has one attachment and some text, but we do not touch the file. We just add a recipient and then we send it. If you properly configured your Thunderbird, it should send without any error message. And as we can see at the bottom right, it says I got a new email from, well, it was sent by me to me, so we got a new email. We will have to open these emails on the PS Vita at a later time in this tutorial, but so far we have to compose a second email, and I will send it once again to myself. And for the subject I use email send attach UR0 shell db app.db dot. This last dot is pretty important. I'm just gonna copy and paste this into the video description and into my blog post and wherever this video is going to end up. So yeah. By the way, am I even recording? God, I'm so glad this is recording. I thought I'm not recording. Okay. For the text in this compose sheet, we go to insert, then to HTML, and then we write the following. There we go, we write this, and we copy and paste it just 5 times. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Delete. Insert, the same as before, insert, new line. Okay, usually it's enough to only have this once, but depending if the PS Vita likes it or not, that's pretty much random. The link is clickable or not clickable. It's important that it is clickable so the PS Vita can use the internal URI calls to do what we want to do. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this 5 times. It should be enough if you do it twice or 3 times, but just to be sure that it will work at the end of this tutorial, I'm just gonna do this 5 times. It should work once, but I'm better safe than sorry. Okay, I have these 5 random text lines now, and as you can see, they're underlined and technically clickable, but I'm not clicking them on the computer because we have to click them on the PS Vita. And then I send it. Okay, the thing we already did now are the 2 email stuff things, and the things we still have to do are editing the database, and we still have to do the whole base game stuff, but I'm going to explain this in the next few minutes. At first I'm going to switch to the PlayStation Vita so we can set up the email application to enable it to write files, that's why it's called writer EML, and to dump our app database, which we'll need at our computer. Okay, at first I'm gonna stop the recording and then I'll switch to the PlayStation Vita. Okay, welcome to part 2 of my tutorial, this time on the PlayStation Vita. I'm going to showcase this with my Firmware 3.36 PS Vita, because I've already updated my 352 Vita to 355, and I don't want to update this to 352, because 3.36 is superior to 3.52. Nonetheless, this trick will work on 352, 351, 350 and below. Keep in mind that if you're already on 352, if you're already on 355, then you cannot replicate this. Okay, we will need to use the email application. As you can see, I already renamed my email application to Failmail because of this Failmail flaw, but that in the end doesn't matter. We have to add our email account. Since I'm neither using Google or Yahoo, I'm clicking on other. For name, I'm just gonna use my nickname, which happens to be the Zett, and then I'm going to, it's so fucking hard to click, there we go, my email address, which happens to be the Zett94@gmx.de, and then I have to, this is so fucking hard to click, it's unbelievable. Then I have to add my password. And there we go. Now I click on OK. Okay, it's checking if it can send and receive files, messages I mean. And then it should work. Let's see. Please wait. This might take half a minute to go away because the Wi-Fi on the PS Vita is pretty trash. And it depends on your Wi-Fi connection. But there we go. Now to my inbox. We have sent a few things on our computer to your very own email address. Like the first thing we have sent was this. We got this forward, click on the image, press home and so on message, which was the writer EML. We double clicked on the computer and we just click on this photo. Then we get an error message. You do not click on the OK button. If you click on the OK button, you fucked up. You must not click on the OK button. If you have this screen on your PS Vita, you just press the home button and close the email application. Then you reopen the email application and you should be greeted by this screen again. You have to re-add your email account because the thing we clicked on changed something in the email application. It changed the email database, which now doesn't only enable us to read files from the internal PS Vita stuff, but also write files to it. So I'm once again adding my email account. I'll just skip this in the video. Okay, there we go. Click OK. Okay, it's checking just like a minute before. But this time we already used the writer email trick. So next thing is we're going to dump the the app database. Before we dump the app database, if you check your pages on the PlayStation Vita, you see this is page 1 because I can scroll up and it has 3 folders which are pretty much full. Then I have a second page and a third page. I don't have a fourth page, but that's not a problem. I'm just gonna create a fourth page because it's the best if you use this with one empty page or nearly empty page. So I have this fourth page which only contains my custom created Kaon bubble. In this tutorial I'm going to create a different bubble so you see that this will work, because it's the easiest if you have a page which only has one bubble, so this is important for the later part of the tutorial. After we have one page with only a single bubble, we go back to our emails. Then we go to this email, which has this email send $attach equals UR and so on. As I told you on the computer with these random text strings, sometimes some of these are not clickable. But if you just use enough of these, they are clickable. And then if you click on this link, like it was called random text, it should open a compose sheet. And in this compose sheet, I'm just gonna put my very own email address, because this time we can send our app database from our PS Vita to our email address. And then we can open it on the computer. As you can see, the attachment is app database, and we just add where we want to send the email and the subject, and then we click send. If you did everything right, it sent the email and automatically closed the email application. After we did this, we go back to the computer, because now we have to modify the app database and we still have to deal with all the whole base game bullshit, which will be a pain in the ass. But okay, back to the computer. Okay, welcome to part 3 of my tutorial. If we now go back to our Thunderbird program, we will see that we got a new email because we just sent it from ourselves to ourselves, from the Vita to the computer. And at the bottom left you see attachment. Since my program is German, it says Anhang, but that doesn't matter. So it should be attachment app.db, which is database. Then we right click this attachment and go to save. And we save it preferable in our 35x custom bubble folder as app.db, which is database. Then we can minimize the email program. We need it at a later time, but not now. Go back to my 35x custom bubble folder and now have this app.database. I'm gonna duplicate this so we have one original and one modified version. There we go. The next thing we would have to do would be to modify this database, but to properly modify the database, we at first need a base game. So now this whole base game bullshit is once again starting, which was a pain in the ass last time. So we go to account.Sony Entertainment Network, and let's see. Okay, if I've done everything right, I should be recording, yes, and I am logged into my account. You have to go to games, and then you can see the list of games you've downloaded. For example, Puzzlescape and World of Pool are 2 PSP games that I recently downloaded. I could technically use World of Pool or Puzzlescape as a base game, but they're 90 MB in size, and that's kind of big. I would prefer a smaller game. Technically, I would prefer a smaller game, but yeah. If you happen to use the European, Australian, or New Zealand PlayStation Network store and you really have not a single PSP game in your entire PSN download list, then you can get a free game which can be downloaded to your PS Vita and downloaded to your PS3 and then transferred to your old Firmware PS Vita, which happens to be Epic Quest Starter Pack for the PSP. It's not the smallest, so it's 332 MB in size, but in the end it's working and it's free, so you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna use this one. We get an XPD file with a super long name and we are going to save it. After we've saved the XPD file, we can just sign out and then leave the Sony website because we don't need it anymore. This should be my download folder, super long file name, and there we go. And Next I'm going to open it, but at first I have to censor a few sensitive things that are in this file, so I have to cut this. Okay, let's open the XPD file with edit with Notepad. We will see that the description is ApeQuest starter pack, the size and the country code. Then we have the CID and some other values which I've censored before I stopped recording this video, but it doesn't matter. And the important part we have is this .pkg file, package file. We need this package file. I thought I can double click this link. Apparently I can't. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it into my web browser, and there we go. I can save this package file. And since I forgot to tell you what else you need, we need the Ps3 Pkg Viewer, which we can also buy. No, we can get it for free. Of course, we don't have to buy anything. We can also download it from QuickJump. I wanted to say download it, and it's a .rar file, so we most likely will need WinRAR. And after we got both of these things, they should end up in our download folder. One of them is still downloading, I guess, so I can just drag and drop this package viewer in here and then extract it to package viewer. Actually, I can just put it here. There we go, the package viewer.exe. If I double click the package viewer, we get this. If you have ever watched my previous bubble tutorial video, you will know how to use the package viewer. If you did not, it's not a problem, because I'm just going to show you how to use it. But at first this slow ass download has to finish. I don't know why it's so slow. Maybe someone is occupying the Wi-Fi. Who knows? Who cares? Nonetheless, if you do happen to have your very own base game, which is not ApeQuest, I mean, I personally use Numbless because it's small, it's fast, and so on, so it doesn't really matter. But you could also just use small minis, such as, I don't know, Apache Overkill, or the robot game from 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know. Okay, at first I'm going to rename this into ApeQuest. So we have one apequest.pkg package file, and we drag and drop this into our package viewer. Okay, in our package viewer we now have this ID npeg00005. Then we have user direction, content, and eboot.ppp. We right click it, extract to source folder, and it should easily extract this in a few seconds. Sorry, I was a bit thirsty. Okay. I'm not sure why it's so super slow with extracting, but who cares, it's working. Might be recording the video, but who knows. Okay, now we have this ApeQuest folder, which we also have npeg00005, I guess, and in there we have this eboot.ppp file. At first we're going to cut this eboot and put it into the ApeQuest folder, as we can see at top. Then we copy the name of the folder and replace the eboot.ppp with the game ID. This game ID is npeg, 4 zeros, a 5, and then .ppp. Next we cut this ppp once again and put it into our sign fake np expert folder and put it into bases. In there is an npeg00011.ppp. This is the numblast one. It only contains the header of the game instead of the full game. That's why this is 3 kilobytes and this is why this is 228,000 kilobytes. But it doesn't matter. I can just delete this because I don't need it. So okay, we are going to use our npeg00005 ppp because we're using it as a base game. And then we need the game or program or homebrew or application or whatever we want to sign. And I'm going to pause this video once again, and then I copy and paste an ISO file which we want to sign. Okay, there we go, it's copying and properly recording. I have my Toaru Kagaku no Railgun ISO game, so it's just a Japanese PSP game which you usually cannot get in the PSN store. And the next thing we need is, if we double click this ISO, we get this PSP game folder, and it has a param.sfo. If we extract this param.sfo, we now have this in our folder. To open this ISO, you also may need Winrar. I'm usually using Winrar for RAR and zip files because it's pretty convenient to use. And this param.sfo can be opened with the PBP unpacker. So if your computer says it doesn't know how to open it, you can just right click it, select open with, and then you select the PBP unpacker. In there we have this disk ID, which we'll need, and we may also need the title if you want to use this title, or you can just use the Latin title of it. Before we're going to... oh no, we can use signmp at first, I guess. Okay, we now click on signmp. It says drag and drop source ISO, which I will just put here, and base PSN eboot, which we can search for. I used to, as you can see, this is my CAN folder. I used this CAN folder before, but that was for the bubble, which is already on my PS Vita. And for the tutorial, I'm going to use, where did I put it? Was it? No, it wasn't in here. It was, actually, yes, it was in bases. Search for PPP file. There we go. npack 00005 PPP open. And the start.image file, which we could technically use as a boot screen. I just got myself a photo, and I'm going to use this as a boot screen. I think the dimensions we need to use are 960, no, default PSP dimensions, right? Edit, change pixels, should be 480, oops, times, okay, for whatever reason my recording program stopped halfway through resizing this picture, but whatever. As I wanted to tell you is the dimensions have to be 480 times 272, and if we have this, we just close the picture. Then we drag and drop this into the start.image column, and then we should have all the necessary things: the ISO, the eboot PPP, and the optional picture. OP and SSMP is not necessary, and the resign and use compression things, all these things as you can see them right now, should be perfectly as they are, so you don't have to recheck anything or uncheck anything. Just leave it as it is, and then you click on sign. I think I'm going to just save it as a eboot PPP in here, and then it's writing the ISO block. This might take a minute, and if this is finished, we're going to continue. Okay, this is now finished, and we now got this eboot.ppp file, which is around 1200 MB in size. We're going to create a new folder, which I'm going to call Zett12345. Okay, and in there we create yet another new folder. I just noticed for whatever reason my PPP unpacker is closed. The folder we want to create has the same name as this, which is the disk ID uljs00354. And I'm going to rename this folder also in uljs00354, and then I put this eboot.pvp, there we go, in here, and we can close our PPP unpacker. I'm going to open this ISO once again because I want to extract something else, which is the icon 0 and the pic 1. I'm going to drag and drop this and put this in my Zett12345 folder, and yeah, this signmp can also be closed. Okay, we now have a Zett12345 folder and our uljs folder, which is called uljs because I want to have it the same name as my ISO, which is this one, and it has the same name as this ID. Okay, then I'm using the VSFO editor, and we click on 2, so it's creating a PlayStation SFO file, and the app name has to be the same as the folder name, so I'm going to call it Zett12345, and the name is Toaru Kagaku no Railgun, because that's the name of our ISO. Okay, it has now created this param SFO, and we're going to we're going to cut this param SFO and put it into our Zett12345 folder. In theory, you can rename this folder anything you want. It just has to have 4 letters and 5 digits, so you could call it Colt 98765 or whatever. I don't have a good example, but I'm just gonna call this Zett12345, and if I would technically create a second folder, I would call it Zett, I don't know, 23456 or something. It's just important that the things we just used with this application, the name has to be the same name as this one. Okay, what else did I already show? I think I still have to show the database modification, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah, I still have to show you 3 things: the database modification, the edit of this txt file, and in the end how to send the email and how to get the whole stuff working in your PS Vita. At first we're going to edit this txt file. I'm going to use my split view for this, and I go back into my signed FakeNP folder. Okay, at first we see we have a lot of these any title ID you want. Okay, for this I'm going to copy this title ID of my ISO game, which is ULJS, and then I'm going to search, replace, and then I'm going to replace any title ID you want with my ISO title ID, and as you can see it's properly replacing them. I can also replace all, and then they're all replaced, and then I'm saving this file. Next we have a lot of these custom bubble strings in here. Like in the 3rd line we have custom bubble name, and I'm going to replace it with the name of my ISO, which is Toaru Kagaku no Railgun. This is pretty much the name of the custom bubble in the end, but we have to replace it multiple times. Like here's once again custom bubble name, I'm going to replace it. I think somewhere on the bottom is also custom bubble name, going to replace it, and I think somewhere in the middle was also custom bubble name. No, I guess it wasn't. Okay, the next important thing is we have something that is called your path to an icon, and our path to an icon is Zett12345 /uljs and so on. So I'm just gonna copy this and put this in here. Wrong slash. Okay, then I think this bottom one is pretty much done. Then we have this original path equals ux0 and so on. Then we have your path to a save game, which we have to highlight until the E of save game. You must not replace the ampersand. There we go. This should now read /psp /save data /z12345 /uljs and so on. Then we have ampersand, self-text and so on. You must not replace this. And then we go back to this one, your path to a save game. There we go. This one, and then we add this in here as well. So we have this second part. So pretty much these are 3 parts. The first part is until this. Then we have an AND. Then we have a second part which goes onto this. Then we have once again an AND. And then we have a disk ID and so on. And we have to change the disk ID as well, disk ID from base game. And if we remember, our base game is called npack00005, and we copy this, add this in here, and then I think then we're finished. We've changed the name, we have changed the path to our double folder, we have changed our path to the double folder here as well, we've changed the disk ID, we have changed the name. Oh yeah, we still have to change the page side, still has to be changed, and position on your page side also has to be changed. What else we already did is, once again, this double folder and the name. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is via the Sqlite Browser. In our Sqlite Browser, we drag and drop this app database. Then we go to Browse Data. Then we go to TBL app info icon and sort it by page ID. So we can see the biggest number from page ID is 16, which is the last page we had on our PS Vita, as I showed you. And the position can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So it pretty much determines on which position on the PS Vita screen the bubble is, and each screen or each page on the PS Vita can have 10 different positions, which are either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, and apparently our bubble is on position 5. So I'm going to change page side to our latest page, which is 16, and position seems to be 5. So I'm going to change position on your page side to anything except for 5. So I'm just going to use, I don't know, 4. So I changed the page ID to 16 because it's our last page, and I changed the position ID to 4 because 5 is already taken, and I don't know, I don't like the other ones. Okay. If we're done with this, we save our txt file and close it. Actually, we can close our whole Notepad++ because we don't need it anymore. Then we, in our Sqlite browser, we go to execute SQL. We click on this icon. We search for our include your data and add it to your app database txt file and open it. Then we click on the play button, and if everything was done correctly, we have a query executed successfully. If this is the case, we click on write changes. And this means we're nearly finally done with the whole computer stuff. If I'm not mistaken, we only have to do 2 more things. One is with the email application, and the other one is to copy this folder to our QCMA directory, which is here. Okay, I already did this before, so I'm gonna delete this. And now I'm copying this because you want to see how this works, so I'm adding this. So we have our save data folder, random stuff, our Zett folder, which contains the icon, the pig, the param_sfo, and our subfolder. And in the subfolder we have our eboot.pbp, which is our signed ISO game. Then we're nearly done. What I told you is something optional is you need an icon 0. So either you have a blank bubble, it has no icon, it's just a white bubble or a gray bubble or whatever, but I want an icon 0. As you can see, the dimensions of this icon is 128 x 128. I notice speaking gets harder and harder after like 40 minutes of non-stop speaking. Whatever. Okay, this icon is 128 x 128, as you can see at the bottom. I'm going to open this with paint.net because we do not need it as JPEG, we need it as a DDS file. So we go to save as DDS file, and it's called icon0.dds, and I'm going to save it. Keep in mind that you have to generate MIP maps, and okay. If this is done, we can close paint.net, and we should have our icon0.dds. Rename it to icon0.dds, so it has to be in all caps, icon0.dds. There we go. And then I'm going to put it in my PS Vita folder, in my save data folder for my PS Vita. Zip. There we go. It has to be next to our eboot.pbp. With QCMA, you usually have to manually refresh the database. So if you add, yes and no, if you add or change any file in your folders for your CMA, you have to manually refresh the database of QCMA. So QCMA knows, okay, the user has changed a few files, so it's going to refresh its database. So if it has to copy something on the PS Vita, it's going to copy the new files instead of searching for the old files which do not exist anymore because we changed or deleted them or something. Okay. Then the last thing we do is, back in our Thunderbird program, we compose a message, and as you can see, I already did this a few times, but my fucking programming tool randomly stopped to record, so I'm doing this for the 4th time now, but you don't know. Okay, I'm going to compose a message, and I'm sending it to my own email, and the subject has to be UR0 shell db app.db. What's important is, this time we do not put a dot at the end. We do not put an additional dot, but we used it before. If we dump the app file, so which means we copy it pretty much, we do need this additional dot because it's necessary to dump it. If we want to write, so pretty much replace this, we must not use an additional dot, because otherwise the path is fucked up. Okay, we now add our changed app database as an attachment. Then we click on our attachment and rename it to #0. Okay, and I think that's everything we have to do in our email application program. We have our #0 attachment, we send it to ourselves, and the subject of UR0 shell/db/app.db. Okay, then we can send it. If I now wait a few seconds, I will see if it successfully arrived on my email account. Yes, it did. As you can see, we got a blank email. It has no text, but it has this #0 attachment. And I think I'm now finally done on the computer, and my programming tool this time my programming tool did not crash, so I hope I don't have to re-record this for a 5th time. Okay, I think I pretty much did everything we need to do on the computer, and now we can go to the PS Vita and do the final steps to get our custom bubbles to work on our PS Vita. Okay, if I did not forget anything important on the computer, we should now be finished. We have to copy our game from our computer to our PlayStation Vita. I'm going to stop the record for this because it's pretty easy to copy. You just have to copy the save data folder, which happens to be... You know what, fuck it, I'm going to show you how this works. Let's get my cable and my... Oh yeah, this is a good opportunity to show you what happens if you get an error message. If I click on copy, it now says, oh, it found a new system update. So we cannot copy, right? Wrong. First we remove the cable. Then we close our CMA. Then we disable any kind of Wi-Fi, 3G or whatever. And then we reboot the PlayStation Vita. If we remove any kind of internet access on the PlayStation Vita and then reboot the PlayStation Vita, it will forget that it saw a new firmware update. So this pretty much means if I now start the PlayStation Vita and connect it to my QCMA, it will successfully copy files without bothering me to tell me there's a new firmware update, because I already know. Let's see. CMA, then I connect my USB cable, which is not easy to do with one hand. There we go. Copy content. Then we copy from PC to Vita, applications, save data, and then we have our Toru Kagakuno rail. Okay, it stopped at rail, okay. Railgun folder. As you can see, it has a size of 1100 MB. And there's my Kaon folder, which one I've used previously with my other bubble. I'm going to copy this to my PS Vita. That will now take like 5 minutes for a gigabyte, I guess. So I'm going to pause the recording and resume it in 5 minutes or 8 minutes. I just remembered, I told you it's important to use QCMA, right? And I didn't tell you why. The important thing is, in the last remaining, like, I don't know, 30 minutes, we created these double folders, like our Zett 12345 folder and our ULJS whatever folder. And the normal Sony CMA is not unable to transfer folders inside folders. It can only transfer files inside folders. But we wanted to have this subfolder, so we know, okay, this is the save data folder, and this is the folder where our game and our icon is inside. That's why we needed QCMA. And QCMA is way better on version 350 as compared to the normal Sony CMA. Okay, we're done with the content manager. We don't need the USB cable anymore. There we go. Okay, we have copied our signed game from the computer to our PlayStation Vita. So the last remaining thing we have to do is we use our email application, start it, turn on Wi-Fi if it's disabled, and check our inbox. It should update now and find around... It should actually only find one more email, but like I said, my recording tool randomly stopped recording a few times, so I sent myself various emails. As you can see, I sent this email 3 times. But okay. We now click on this email, which should come from yourself to yourself with the subject ur0 shell db/app.db, and it should have a #0 file. And now the very important thing is, if everything was done correctly, it should have a photo icon. Here, this is a photo icon. If this is a question mark icon, then you've done a mistake. Then you have somewhere made a mistake. If you have successfully used the EML writer at the beginning of the tutorial, then it should now in the end show you this photo symbol for the #0 file. If it's a question mark, you did a mistake. This is important because if I now click on this, we have to get the same error message as before, as at the very beginning. And this error message at the very beginning was that it cannot display this picture or image. It's important that it says picture or image. Because if I now click on this, and it takes 5,000 years to finally get done with the please wait. I think my Wi-Fi is just currently a bit shit. Then we should get... Fuck my life. Pretty sure that's the fault of the Wi-Fi. Update. Come on, update it. Latest email, picture 0. There we go. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Cannot display this image. Once again, you are not allowed to click on the OK. You are not allowed to click on this OK. What you have to do is you use the Home button and close the email application. Then you shut down your PlayStation Vita. And if we have done everything correct, we should hopefully get we should hopefully not get a database restore message right here. Perfect, I guess. Not a message. Great. And now on our last page we should have a second bubble and everything hopefully worked perfectly fine. We now have this Toru Kagakun railgun bubble. As you can see, the picture was from my computer. It's right next to my Kaon bubble, like I showed you with the page 16, positioned 5 and 4 places. And if I click on it, we have this funky rainbow thingy, which you might know it. You might know it, I have this shit since years. And once again, our picture. And what's funny is, there we go, our splash screen. Perfect, this is what I wanted. Usually you should not get this error message, of course. I mean, usually you should just get this a working game. But it's good that we got this error message, but because I can now show you how to solve the problem with this error message. If I go to Content Manager, and where's my USB cable? PlayStation Vita. Connecting my camera. There we go. I'm actually pretty happy that we got this error message because fuck my life. To reboot again. Okay, I'm actually pretty happy that we got this error message because usually if everything works perfectly fine, you have the problem that if some random user gets an error message, you have no idea why he gets an error message and you have no idea why this error message appears. But since I just got the error message, which a lot of you people might get as well, this is not perfect because I can easily explain you how to fix this error message before I get problems that like 50 people are going to contact me. Oh, I got an error and I don't know how to fix it. The error message is actually pretty easy to fix. You copy content from your PC to your PlayStation Vita, and it should actually work with QCMA. No idea why this is now taking so long with the please wait screen. I wanted the error message, I didn't want an infinite please wait spin. Ah, come on. Computer, USB cable. Seriously? Okay, again, copy content, computer, USB cable. I guess I know why it's not connecting. The problem is, if your PS Vita has no power and you connect it with your USB cable to QCMA, QCMA might crash on your computer. And I was right. I have to restart QCMA on my computer. QCMA restart. There we go. And if I now connect it to my PC, it should work. finally. Okay. To solve the error message on your custom bubble, you go from PC to PlayStation Vita and recopy your base game. And my base game was... Do I have a backup of my base game? Do I have a backup of Ape Quest? If not, I'm fucked. Yes, I do. I have a backup of Ape Quest. I copy it. And there we go. The explanation for this error message is actually very simple. We have given our bubble the ID of this base game, and so we technically need at least one legit game to start on the PS Vita, and we're using this Ape Quest demo, which is a free game. It's still connected to our PlayStation account because it's downloaded via our PlayStation account, because on the PS Vita everything is connected to your PlayStation account in terms of things you download from the PlayStation Network store. So this free Ape Quest demo still has a license. And as you can see, I now have my base game on this PS Vita as well. And if I now click on my created bubble, which uses this Ape Quest game as a base, the game should now work. It should now perfectly start. If it's now erroring, I have no idea what the problem is. And it's working. God, I'm so fucking happy this perfectly worked. Except for the crashing program and the crashing recording tool and missing to tell you at the very beginning that you need a backup of your base game. But I think otherwise this tutorial was okay. But so yeah, this works on up to version 352. If your PS Vita is currently running version 352, you can do this. If your PS Vita is currently running version 355, you cannot do this. In the end, I would like to thank Major Tom and Mr. Gas for this nice custom bubble method, and I would also like to thank my friend Canada Engel to help me with this, because I was too late in the last few days and didn't check how this worked, and then we got Firmware 355, and in the end it was like, damn, I still have to do a tutorial, and I have no idea how to do this. And in the end I would like to say sorry to everyone who's watching this video. I know it's a bit chaotic, and I'm commenting on a lot of things, like something doesn't work and I'm swearing and whatever. I just want to help you guys, and I'm doing it my way, and if you don't like it, mute the fucking video. But so yeah, that's pretty much just my style. I'm sorry that it's a bit of chaotic, but nonetheless this is how it is. So yeah, this is how you can create these custom bubbles, and I hope it works for you on your own devices, and if not, just message me, and maybe I have to do a more streamlined tutorial. Hopefully not, maybe I have to, and if I have to, well, then I will do. So yeah, I did that, and see you soon.